I don't think people realise just how hard it is to get under 10% body fat as a natural bodybuilder. It's exponentially more difficult to go from reasonably lean to shredded. It comes at a cost, sacrifice and suffering. Don't listen to what these influencers have to say about, you just got to do this, you got to do that, it's easy, they're in shape all the time. It's a load of nonsense, especially as a natural bodybuilder when you don't have any other tools at your disposal other than cardio and nutrition. It's very, very difficult. So I'm going to tell you a funny story about my time on prep last year. Puts in perspective just how things can very quickly spiral out of control. Some lessons to be learnt, perhaps. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider liking it, thumbs up, subscribe to see more content. And if you've got any questions about any of my training or nutrition, bodybuilding philosophy, then just leave me in the comment section below. And if you've got any ideas about future videos, please let me know. Pop them in the comment section below. Okay, so this was last year. I had a competition in the beginning of August, the MPA Southern, which I actually won. 6 months prior, I started a warehouse job, night shifts, 4 on, 4 off, 12-hour shifts. On top of that, I was doing clients face-to-face and online, so it was not a normal prep by any stretch. It was very, very difficult. My sleep was very low, and I found it super difficult, especially when you first go into a warehouse job. It's going to be a lot of physical labour. You know, looking back at the strength I gained from doing that mentally, it was incredible. So I did things during that prep that I would not advocate my clients to do. I did things I know I shouldn't have done. But ultimately, that enabled me to be a champion. I won that first show. I put everything into it that I possibly could. I said to myself, I'm going to get as lean as possible at any cost. That was the goal, and that's what I did, and that's what enabled me to win that show. Now, ideally, if you've got a few shows lined up, you kind of want to ease into it, I guess, and ideally peak at the last show, the most important one, but you never quite know who you're going to come up against in those regionals. You know, maybe you get a little bit cocky and you don't actually get a good place in. So I put everything into it. And that's why I can call myself a champion. I won a show, but it was then very, very difficult to get back on the wagon and make some progress going into the finals. And that was the issue that I had. So I had 4 days off after the win. I went up to Nottingham, had a great time with my missus, lots of good food. Then I had to come back, straight back to shift work and back on the diet. And that's where I struggled, and that's where things started to get a little bit icy. So during the shift work, I just felt like my appetite was so high. It was exponentially higher than it was prior to those 4 days off, because I'd let loose. Once you start letting loose and indulging and enjoying those foods, or eating more than you were on the diet, it's then very difficult to control. I would say it's as close, I guess, to being a drug addict as you're ever going to experience without actually being one. You think about it constantly, 24/7. It's on your mind all the time. You're convincing yourself that it's a good idea to eat more food. You're telling yourself that it's going to help you. That's how bad it is. It's just there all the time. And the hard thing about dieting is not the initial discipline and avoiding the foods. It's then controlling what you eat thereafter, after a period of indulgence or eating more than you should, i.e. a refeed. That's why sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful with the refeeds. Sometimes it's very difficult to put the brakes on and control what you're eating because your body gets used to it. When I was on those last few weeks of the diet, I wasn't really thinking about food. I wasn't that hungry. You know, I had a lot of energy. It was a bizarre feeling, almost like I couldn't eat. But then once I started eating, the appetite came up and it became insatiable. Insatiable. I can't explain how strong the appetite was. More so for sugars, very sweet foods that I would never enjoy or never really eat that much of when not dieting. Your body tends to crave what you take away on a diet. So if you're on a low-fat diet, your body will crave fats. If your carbohydrates are quite low, your body tends to crave carbohydrates and sugars especially. That's what I found in my experience with clients and what have you. So yeah, after that period, I found it super difficult. And there's vending machines at work in the canteen. One in particular has got sweets and chocolates in. So it was on the last day of one of my shifts. I'd done 4 nights in a row. I was absolutely shattered. I'm sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, doing cardio, doing training, clients, physical labour for 11 hours a night. So I was not in a good place. And I remember convincing myself that a chocolate bar before I go and train myself would be a good idea. It would help. So I'm sitting in the canteen trying to convince myself that it's a good idea to have this chocolate bar. Usually we finish the shift about 5:45. By this point it's kind of 6 o'clock. I'm the last one in there from the nights, just mulling it over in my head, really fighting it. And I convinced myself it would be a good idea. I have loads of energy going to the gym. I'm going to have a crazy pump. I'm going to have one chocolate bar. So I go up to the vending machine, tap the card, 80 pence, Snickers bar, Bosch, lovely. Really tasty. The flavours are incredible. When you've abstained from having chocolate like that, you realise just how good it tastes. The kick of sugar. As you have more products like this, you become desensitised to what you're actually consuming. And the hit is incredible. It's like crack cocaine, I imagine. You just can't get enough of it. And obviously you have one chocolate bar, you want another, and then it becomes very difficult to stop. So I was sitting there and I thought, okay, I could have another chocolate bar. You know, what the hell, this is going to really help that session. So I went back up, had a Mars bar, sat down and ate it. At this point, it's well after 6. I'm the only one in the canteen. Everyone's gone home and I'm just sitting there eating chocolate bars. I go up there a further 6 times. So I have 8 chocolate bars in total, 80p a pop, back and forth at the vending machine. I just can't stop myself. I just cannot stop. My appetite is insatiable. I could have probably eaten 30 chocolate bars. I would have eaten them until I would have puked. That was how strong the urge was to consume this chocolate. And unless you've dieted like this or got very lean, it's hard to put into words how difficult it is to stop. So I'm convincing myself it's a good idea. So when I come out the car park, I'm the only one there from the nights. You know, I'm leaving like 6:20, super late. And on the way to the gym, I stop off at a Shell garage. I have a Pepsi Max, I have a Subway, and another chocolate bar, Bosch. Then at the gym, I get there, I'm still starving hungry. I'm more hungry than when I started. So I have another protein bar. Then I have a training session, sick training session, great pump. The amount of sugar I've consumed in that hour window is just incredible. I'm feeling fantastic. You know, it's like my muscles are going to pop almost. They're going to explode out of the skin. So this puts into perspective just how hard it is to control that appetite once you let loose after a diet. You know, it's very difficult. And these things happen. So don't beat yourself up too much if you have a cheat meal or you have something that you shouldn't eat when you're on a diet. It happens, okay? Get over it. The next day, I'm back on the diet. I'm disciplined again, pushing forwards for more leanness. And, you know, ultimately, I did really well to stay on track. And I competed, you know, in the last competition more or less at the same kind of body fat, maybe not quite as lean, but I had all these other factors I was kind of fighting. So yeah, just a funny little story there. Just, you know, goes to show that you see these people that are super lean, but they're also struggling the same as yourself. It's not all easy. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then let me know in the comments section. Stay tuned for more.